it's okay to actually leave the industry and have children if you want, if you choose to have children. And don't beat yourself up. You can leave and come back into the industry.
Welcome to Series 2 of ConstructHER podcast, a Master Builders South Australian initiative which celebrates women in the building and construction industry. My name is Gardner. I'm Chair of the Women in Building HiViZ Committee, and I'm looking forward to introducing you to a wonderful array of women who are doing fantastic things in the building and construction industry.
The female-led business register is going to open up opportunities to attract more women in the industry.
There's other support and mentoring opportunities for them.
I just have something different to bring to the table.
When I have been on site with mothers or elderly women, they felt more comfortable knowing that I was there.
It will connect lots of different women involved in all aspects of building.
Welcome to Season 2 of ConstructHER podcast. This is basically celebrating women in the building industry in South Australia. Hello, my name is Holly Gardner. I'm the chair of the Women in Building Committee, basically named as HiViZ Committee here at Master Builders South Australia. I'm here to celebrate women in the construction industry, and I'm interviewing the most amazing women in South Australia who are basically dominating the construction industry here. I have with me today Augusta Soteriou, who is the Managing Director of End-to-End Consulting. Augusta is amazing. She has an engineering degree majoring in civil and infrastructure, as well as a diploma in project management. Hello, Augusta. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Hello, thank you, Holly.
So without giving more information, please let us know what your background is and how you came to be in the construction industry in South Australia, and what are you doing now?
Okay, thank you. So my passion for engineering and buildings stemmed from very young. So I just had an interest in how buildings stood up and what makes them, how they got together, how they were put together. So I studied engineering and civil, and from there I was actually fortunate enough to get my first job out of uni in Conor Wagner, which was a big engineering consulting firm at the time. Following that, after I had my first child, I went into the government and had a stint in government and doing project management. And during that time had another 2 children, so 3 all up. And the reason why I left is because it was very difficult in consulting engineering to have children. It was, very new back then. So it was easier to get some leave through government work, actually. So then
So you found working in government easier than private enterprise?
Yes. Most definitely.
In relation to juggling your work duties and looking after the children.
Yes, and maternity leave and all of those aspects.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it was back, the 90s and early 2000s. So that led me to I ended government and my role and went back into the private sector when the children were older. And then I went into a construction company, Schiavello. And then after my time at Schiavello, about 3 years, I moved into I started my own company, project management company.
Fantastic. So tell us a bit about end-to-end consulting. So it's basically residential buildings, I'm assuming, or is it commercial as well?
No, it's only commercial.
Only commercial.
So commercial.
Thank you.
So it's so I've had some amazing projects since I started the business. I worked at Flinders University. And then I moved from Flinders University to Australian Naval Infrastructure.
Fantastic. So you're talking about the Flinders University new building there at Flinders Park?
No, not the new build. I was actually in charge of their project management
Employed
team.
by Flinders University.
Consulting. I was a consultant.
Understand.
So I managed the $30 million worth of works that they needed to, it's a program of works to deliver over a 12-month period. And then following that year and a half, I moved to A&I and consulted there, and I was part of the Osborne Naval project. So the $550 million delivery of the infrastructure for the frigates.
Fantastic.
So
fantastic. Which one of our members is actually building.
Okay.
And I've actually been out on site because I did some training down there, and that's a magnificent project.
Yes.
So that's basically the foundations, the infrastructure to actually enable the building of the frigates themselves.
Yes.
I think it's a 2-year program, isn't it, to actually build the infrastructure so that the actual boats can be built?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So you were responsible for that?
For the building of the buildings.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
They house the staff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, housing the staff.
Housing
Okay.
all the staff, the infrastructure.
Right, accommodation.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So there's office buildings, amenity buildings, and a recreation building.
Wow.
So that total around $35 million. So that was a portion of works that I was managing.
Fantastic. And you were basically in charge of that.
Yes.
What an amazing responsibility.
And that it actually was fantastic because I actually was working on the construction sites. I was actually working in every day on the ground. So amongst all the construction workers, the construction.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how did that go for you in a professional capacity, walking around Osborne with all the construction workers, and I assume mainly, dominated by men? How were you treated as you walked around in your professional capacity in management of that project?
It was great. Treated with respect. It was great. So I can actually compare my time as an engineer on site when I first came out of uni and compare my time now. The construction sites are very different.
And is that because the construction industry is now at ease with women in the industry, or is it because your skills have developed and people respect that, or maybe both?
Both. I would say both, actually. I noticed that if you're older, have more experience, if you've got industry experience, you're more respected. But it was actually great going back to grassroots and looking at and walking around a construction site, coming from a client side, office bound.
Were you actually seeing the product of what you've helped
day to
design?
day, in detail, which is very different.
Yes, fantastic. And it's very pleasing to hear that you were very much accepted on site and that the experience was enjoyable and there wasn't negativity from the sounds of it.
No, not at all.
That's brilliant.
No, and being a large-scale site, Lend-Lease were the construction contractors. They had all the amenities, all the facilities for women, which was fantastic.
That's absolutely brilliant to hear because that's one thing that I do hear from time to time with women working in the trades on site, that there aren't all the amenities for women, and that's something that it's great to hear that it is progressing. It's not obviously right through the industry at the moment, right throughout all the sites, but we're making some moves, some progress basically.
Yeah, we are certainly. So I've made a note. So it's the large scale tier 1 contractors and construction contracts. There's an obligation to as part of the procurement, and
so we need to get those obligations right through the industry.
Correct.
All the contractual agreements.
Correct.
From tier 1 down to the subcontractors.
Yes.
Yeah. Important note.
It is.
Yeah. Otherwise they breach their contractual arrangements. Otherwise.
That's right.
Fantastic. Yeah. So in saying that, what other Well, what obstacles, I don't want to be too negative here, but what obstacles have you encountered through your history in the industry?
I could probably tell us some stories, but one of the mental obstacles and mental challenges I have faced is coming to the realization when I was at uni and coming out of uni, men are, women are different to men. I mean, I always thought, when you're a teen, I grew up as a teenager, I was sort of such a tomboy. And I was, I went into university, through my engineering degree, had all my friends, as, males, guys in the industry, but we were just all mates. It was just all mateship. And then when I sort of got into the, workforce, and, we were talking about, leave and parental leave and maternity leave, and what are you going to do when you have a baby? I'm thinking, okay, all right, I need to fall pregnant first. So it was very confronting when I was actually asked.
Interesting. So you felt like when you're at university, you're sort of one of the mob, you're treated equally, and as soon as you sort of get into a paid job, then there's all these, well, I guess, assumptions that you're going to, have children, take time off, have maternity leave.
Yeah.
And it was just assumed that was going to be a problem.
Well, that's what it seemed
and
like.
Let's try and deal with that.
Yeah. And so I thought to myself, oh my gosh.
What if I don't want to have kids?
That's right, And then it was very funny how I fell pregnant, and I just came to the realization that I actually hid it. And I didn't want to say anything to anyone. Because I was
Sorry, you hid you were pregnant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Until I was about 16 weeks when I said something.
Wow.
Yeah, because there was that stigma.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? It was very strange. That was the obstacle, mental obstacle that I had to.
And so how did that sort of follow through? When you eventually at 17 weeks said, I'm pregnant, what then encountered?
So it was okay, you're the first female to fall pregnant in our office. Okay, so what do we need to do? Okay, so when are you due? How much time do you want off, and what are you going to do? You're going to use childcare. Do you want to work part-time? There were all these questions because it was unknown to them, and we had to work through it together. I'm looking back. I'm having a conversation with my then boss, who was a lovely older generation gentleman, for 30 years. And he was well into his 50s, and he was learning at the same time. Honestly, they were all learning at the same time.
And were they supportive?
Yes, they were. They were supportive at the end, but that's
brilliant.
Yeah, it was a learning.
You had to it was a process in getting there, but you got a positive result.
Oh yes. I did. But, when I fell pregnant with my second child, I thought to myself, it was hard. I remember having to bring the baby in to the office, 3 months or 4 months old and stuff like that. And, it's relentless in the private sector. It was a little bit difficult, but yeah. And then in saying that, it's been a great my experience, and then went into government, and
that made it easier.
It made it easier because they were so much more advanced in the human resources sector and dealing with women and diversity.
Yes.
They were more advanced at that time.
So the private sector is probably catching up now from the sounds of it with their contractual obligations.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's only better now.
Yeah. But you've got to start somewhere, and it sounds like you're at the cutting edge of it, which is brilliant, and well done to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So in saying that, I mean, you've turned that sort of negative, that sort of difficulty into a highlight. What other highlights can you demonstrate that you've experienced in the building industry as a woman?
One highlight of mine is one of the biggest achievements is the working on the Health and Medical Research Institute, the SAMRI. That's a highlight of my career.
That's brilliant. The one on North Terrace.
Yes. That was an amazing achievement. It's 5 years of my life, because I was involved in the initial funding federally and then to the delivery.
Wow.
Yes.
So basically the project management of that amazing building.
Yes.
So we're not in the design, but project management.
Project management of the facility, of the build. So procurement, reviewing designs, because I can review designs, and project management and the contracted management of that.
That sounds
building.
Absolutely amazing. That's phenomenal. And that would be under the leadership of your end-to-end consulting.
Oh no, that was before. That was in government.
Okay, that was a government project.
That was, sorry, it was in 2014. That was a highlight. It was
I can't believe it's far back as that. It seems like that building's quite new, but it is 2014.
That it was completed.
Amazing.
And it was. So I represented the state government on that occasion, on that project, and the amazing delivery, the amazing aspects about the delivery of that project is that it was a GC21 contract, which meant it was a collaborative contract, which meant it was the client and the head contractor and the trade contractors at the table resolving issues, because under that form of contract you actually do design at the same time as you're constructing.
Understand.
So it was amazing feat, and state of the art. It was first on a lot of fronts. A first cyclotron within the basement, the first integrated building management or smart building technology. And it was the first, we brought LEED rating, which was an international rating for sustainable design and sustainable as built.
Fantastic.
Buildings. So we brought that to South Australia. So
fantastic.
It was fantastic, yeah. And it was
great
a good
having
outcome.
the resume.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, can I say that I won the joint NAWIC, National Association of Construction Award, Crystal Vision Award. Yes.
Fabulous. Well done to you. Congratulations. That's an amazing achievement.
Thank you.
Fantastic. In saying that, obviously you've gone through change. What changes do you think now could be made to improve things for women in the industry? I know we've come a long way.
Yes.
I'm figuring we still have a bit of a way to go. What do you think? What are some suggestions?
So I'm just going to go grassroots. There's a couple of, I could go to the management level. One thing is we need to break that glass ceiling. In construction companies, there is a glass ceiling. So most women are working for a construction company are contract administrators, and they're not elevated into the roles of contract management and a construction manager. there's not a lot in South Australia. I don't know of any that are in South Australia, and that's a bit of a shame, actually. That's from my experience. And then at grassroots, I think that we need to improve the site inductions. Having been through a lot of site inductions and having been on a construction site, there's no site inductions for, to incorporate women and to incorporate from diverse communities. I think we need to embrace that as well, because site inductions, it's all about being safe in your workplace and being safe on a construction site and your site where you work. So I think that because women have separate amenities, we need to acknowledge those, and the men need to be respectful of that. So I think that they just need to add that in. That's from my opinion and working on sites.
Thank you. Some great points there. Thank you for that. And noted.
Thank you.
So what would you say to a young woman who's thinking of a career in the construction industry? What would you say to her wanting to come in right now?
I would recommend, coming into the industry, I would support them. It's a great industry. It is. There's diverse. There's a lot of opportunities. You can come from a trade. You can come from university. You can come from a tech. You can come from management. It's a great and brilliant and evolving industry, and so many opportunities. But it would be, you need to create a network and join network and industry groups. It's really, really important.
Yeah, to have that support behind you.
Yeah.
And also great mentors as well.
And I was going to touch on mentors, and I would suggest have a great male mentor. Yeah, I certainly had a couple of those. So they can sort of, you can actually get some advice from a male's perspective, which is because it is a male-dominated area. And I think it's important to have both a male mentor and a female strong mentor as well.
That's a wonderful point you take up. I'm just going to interject there, because on our committee we've actually got 2 brand new male representatives on the HiViZ committee, which is the Women in Building Committee for South Australia. And we believe that listening to our male counterparts in this industry is essential to our progress.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. Yeah, it's great that you do.
Yes. Yeah. We're working together collaboratively, and it starts from the grassroots. It continues on right throughout, and on our committees and organisations. We have to work together.
That's right, absolutely. And another thought that I would advise that I will give a young woman in the industry, and I have given that advice about 10 years ago, and one of the females came up to me afterwards and thanked me. It's you cannot have it all. Something has to give. And I spoke at a forum many years ago on this issue about having it all, and I said something's got to give, and it's okay to actually leave the industry and have children if you choose to have children, and don't beat yourself up. You can leave and come back into the industry, and don't you sort of try and stress out that you're not being a mother. You're being you are not doing 100% in your working career, and you're not 100% as a mother, you can't be 100% in each camp, and it's okay just to let one go, and you'll get there. And you'll find that if you leave the industry or leave and go part-time, and you're not striving to be, competing against the males, you actually come back into the industry. And so if you let it go, just work part-time, keep your hand in it 1 or 2 days a week, when you come back after 5 years, 6 years, you're actually going to be valued, and you can actually grow your career from there after that. And a friend of mine took that on board, and she is leaps and bounds. She's had 2 boys and leaps, and she is just amazing in a large tier 1 construction company, working for them.
That's fantastic.
And it was just...
Yeah, so what you're saying is, whilst you're having children, keep your foot in the door.
Keep your foot in the door.
Even if it's like for 1 or 2 days a week.
Yeah.
Don't take yourself out of it. Just keep your foot in the door. And then when you're finished with, obviously, the hardest part of the time, raising the children, you can go back. And you've still been able to keep your foot in the door, your career sort of cruising along, and then you can sort of escalate it.
That's right.
Yeah, that's really great advice. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for coming, Augusta, along just to give us your amazing contribution to the building industry. It's been fantastic learning about your contributions and achievements. I'm quite blown away. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. If you'd like to make a comment, please make a comment right here on Spotify. Alternatively, if you require further information, please go to our website. The details are below.